So Siva, you are admitting people in, right?
Yes, Vaishali, I am admitting the people.
Okay, great.
I think, Vaishali, we can start.
All right, it's sharp 5 o'clock. So hello, everyone. A very good evening and warm welcome today to this session, which is hosted by IWF, and it's a part of our We Care series. On today's session, we are going to focus about uh, the thing that is always very close to people's house, their dream house or the dream home, how to make it happen, what are the nuances you need to know, and then the most important thing to buy a house is about financing. So to cover these topics, today we are here to host this event. I'm Vaishali Doshi, and I've been living in Finland for almost 12 years now, and I work as a sales director at HCL Technologies. And working for our community is my passion, and that's why we are here. I'm a board member of this community called IWF, or Indian Women in Finland. And we are a community of almost 700 plus Indian women, which is more like a peer support group or a community we bring together, where we've created a platform for information sharing and helping Indian women adapt to the Finnish lifestyle or adapt to the Finnish way of living. But of course, all our events and programs are not limited to women. This is just the starting place for our platform, but we have all kinds of sessions which is relevant for mostly immigrant population, but still relevant for everybody living in Finland, and focused on Indian diaspora. I think 2 years ago or 1.5 years ago, when COVID started, we used to have a lot of our events in person, physical events. But when COVID started, we realized that how do we reach out to the people? What can we do? And like many of us who moved to this online hybrid mode, we moved to this online sessions called We Care series. And I think this is our 10th session. And we've done various programs around mental health, around physical health, around finance for women, about uh, bringing up children in Finland. So very, very important social topics relevant to people living in Finland. And this was one topic today that was coming across many times, that what it means to buy a house in Finland. Should I be buying a apartment or a row house or kerrostalo or a rivitalo or erillistalo or makotitalo? How does the loans and banking system work? So these were a lot of the questions that used to come to us from different from our diaspora, from our community. And that's why we thought let's organize this session. And I really thank Kate, who is with me as our co-host and one of our biggest supporter and volunteer for IWF. And then today we have guests from OP Bank, who will tell us a bit more about banking and financing for homes. And then we have guests from Remax, who will tell a bit more about the property market in Finland and what is good or not so good things to do. I'm also very, let's say, emotional today, or very nostalgic today. So just for the audience to say, I can say it. Today, I got the keys of a house I brought. Just 1 hour before, I'm collecting the keys and coming. So it couldn't have been a better day to co-host this session together with kids. So I'm very emotional, and this topic, of course, is very close to my heart in that regards. So with this, Kate, would you want to introduce yourself quickly, and then I will just quickly introduce our guests and ask them to give more details about themselves.
Sure, thank you. Congratulations, Vaishali. Great
Thank you
day
so
to
much.
remember.
Yes.
Yes, I'm Kit Srinivasan, and I'm a very passionate volunteer for the Indian women in Finland. Apart from volunteering, my real job is with Aalto University, where I work as a senior manager for the global engagement team, looking at Indian and Finnish collaboration for education and academic purposes. So it's a pleasure to have you all here, and we are very, very thankful, as we have mentioned before. It's the time is, I think, more valuable than money. So the time of experts like from the bank and the real estate company is really valuable in the current time where there is a hard demand for buying properties. And Indians, we are about 11,000 people, Indians in Finland, and most of us are concentrated in the metropolitan region. And our Indians in Finland Facebook has over 8,000 Indian diaspora here. And as you know, Indians are mostly concentrated into IT or academic sector, high earners, potential customers for anyone dealing in the bank or offering us loans or helping us to buy properties. Very passionate buyers of properties as investors as well or for personal uses. So this is a great occasion to have you all. Thank you, and thank you for joining. Vaishali, please.
Yeah. So thanks, Kit. It's always great to have you over and co-host this with you. With this, I would like to introduce our guests. So from OP Bank, OP Pohjola, we have Petri Kusisto and Timo Solomon, who are the customer service specialists. Over to you guys. Quickly introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce Remax.
I'm Petri Kuusisto in the OP Bank, and I do home loans as my duty, and I'm serving quite a lot English-speaking customers, also Finnish-speaking customers, and this is what I do daily banking, and I'm very happy that we are here to speak this thing.
Yes, and my name is Timo Solomon. Thank you very much and congratulations. I'm not doing loans, but I'm in the marketing of OP Helsinki, and I'm here to help my friend as well. So we probably tell more when our presentation starts.
Sure. And our other guests are from Remax. Remax is like a property or real estate company. And from Remax, we have Juho Eskela, who's a sales director there. We have Guru Shekon, who's a senior real estate agent. And I'm not sure is Perti there, but I had an introduction that Perti is also going to join, who's a sales director at Remax. So over to you guys. You can briefly introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Juho Eskela. I've been doing this job for 5 years. I mainly sell in the Espoo area, which is my hometown, and I'm also a professional photographer. I do all the things myself, and that it is the biggest thing that I enjoy this job because I can be creative and do this creative thing at the same time when I'm selling. And I have a really nice customer base in Espoo area, and I really enjoy my job, and I really appreciate that we can be here tonight. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Okay, my name is Guru Sekhan. I'm originally from Punjab. I was born in Punjab, and we moved to Finland 1988. So I was 8 years old when we moved here, and I went to schools here, and then so the property, the Indians and the property, they're like it's in the blood. So I have following it. My father did they worked hard and ran restaurants, but they also invested in the properties. So it was kind of so it's been always there in the family, but actively I have done property business since 2013, and with Remax last 3 years. And I speak Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, also I understand, then English and Finnish, of course. And we have Indians have a different kind of, first thing that what they want to do is buy a house. They don't like to live living on the rent because they think it's like you are wasting the rent money. And of course, and they're good to save money. And in Finland, the mostly like it feels that it's complicated, but after you get you've been living here for a while, it's very simple actually. And for example, this building house companies and stuff, it's very like you don't need to see trouble with the living. It's very easy. You don't need to go out and do the snow work or anything else. It's pretty much everything is pretty simple, but it just feels at the start. And otherwise, we are here for you, and we answer all your questions.
Yes, and I forgot to say that, like my family, we have been had those investor apartments for quite a while. My wife has 5 apartments, and we, like I said, the bank people can really tell you about the statistics and all this official data and everything. But I can, what is the word, grassroots level? I can say from experience how it is and what it is if you invest, buy apartments like 1-room apartments and rent them, and what is the profit margin and whatever. If you have any kind of questions of that, I can probably answer.
Sure. So I guess how we begin this, that we want to keep this session interactive. There will be some questions that will be asked on Facebook Live also. People in the chat who are in the Zoom link can ask the questions on the chat, but we also have a pre-prepared list of most generic questions that typically the Indian community is asking about finance or buying a house. So with that, maybe we begin first with finance, which is the first thing you need to buy the house, or at least the starting point, after you have a will to do that. So maybe we start with OP Bank, who will give us a brief presentation. What does it mean to get financing or a house loan in Finland, and what are kind of the early steps or prerequisites you need? They will also cover some questions which we had asked them, but we will keep it interactive. So we ask from the real estate agents and banks jointly. It goes hand in hand. Yep.
Yes, so perfect. Let's see. We are going to share our screen and hope you're going to see.
Oh.
Can you see our presentation?
Yeah, we can see.
Perfect. Yes, so OP Helsinki is OP Finance Group biggest retail banking operation and the region's own cooperative bank. We serve in Helsinki, Espoo and Vantaa. We have around 400,000 customers, of which near 225,000 are owner customers. We will tell more about owner customers later. Around 35,000 corporative customers and a staff of almost 7,000 professionals. So about applying for a home loan, it's the most easiest way from online. Ask for a home loan online. With a loan application, you can also find out the amount of the home loan you could get before any loan offers requests. How to apply for a home loan? It's very easy nowadays. So applying for a home loan always begins with a digital loan application. Whether you apply for a loan personally or with another person, this is how the loan application process go. So you go to www.op.fi, fill in and send a loan application online. We will contact you and you will enter into a loan negotiation with us where we together go through, for example, information that you have provided in the application and the loan collateral. And then you will get a loan offer from us. This is a screenshot I took from our website, op.fi, and the process is very simple. So from the left side, you see loans, then you press apply for a loan, And also there is a home loan icon where it's written read more and apply. Then when you press apply for a home loan, you can enter with OP online banking, or you can use other banks as well to make this loan process to start. This is the easiest way and also the fastest way to get the loan offer from us. Also, I already told you the applying is easy with also the another bank's user ID too. So the loan offer does not oblige you to take out a loan form us. It's only a request for proposal.
And when we have you have made the application, then we have discussed on what kind of loan we are making, and we also discuss on like hard facts, like how much loan we can make it, but also we discussed what kind of worries there could be and what an unexpected thing might happen, because loans are quite long, normally 25 years. The period is long and it could happen unexpected, and how you can be protected as a loan taker. That is the one part. And why choose the OP? One of the main things is that we are customer-owned bank, and it means that we pay our customers OP bonus related how much services you have in our bank, and you also get discount. This OP bonus is only for our bank because we are customer-owned based, and that's the main difference between other banks. And the most important thing think about when you apply a home loan. I personally recommend it when you're thinking about, okay, should we buy a home? Let's start with having the conversation with the bank, and it's starting, as Timo told, that it's making the loan application. I recommended starting with the own bank and a couple of other banks, and you see a little bit of competition between banks, that what kind of services they have, what kind of pricing they have, and then you can decide what bank is good for you. And it's normally easiest way to start with your own bank because they have most information for you, and it's familiar with you. But I recommended to have a little bit competition other banks too, and you see, because money is the money, but services and how services are made, they might be different, and the pricing might be different also. And most important when the customer is thinking about loan is the meeting. And you have already put the information for your salary and how big is your family, and probably payslip in the internet. But then we have discussion. It could be face to face, or it could be in the phone, or it could be in the internet. It doesn't matter. They are all equal ways. And as a bank, we are first thinking about the first most important thinking is the solvency. And in real life, what it means that we are thinking about how much income the family have, how much salary or other income family have, and then minus expensive. That is the amount what a person or the family can use to get the home loan. That's the most important. We always think about first as a bank, how much money family can use to buy apartment or house. That is our duty. And we also, when we calculate it, we think about the interest rate, if they're getting higher, and we calculated that it might be got even so high as the 6%. And all the loans are calculated that way, that the payment of the loan should, when people are taking their loans, they should be also payable as the interest rate should be more 6%. And when we have make discussion, okay, that is the right amount for the loan, then we think about what kind of collaterals the people or family which are buying the home or apartment would have. And that's the second part of the like a discussion. And the apartment which you are going to buy, it's one part of the collateral, but it's not enough for a bank, because we want to make sure that we get our money back. And a person or family must have other kind of collaterals or down payments. It could be money, or it could be house, or it could be credit guarantee. We discussed a little bit about these ones on the later. And on the meeting, we also discussed what is the size of the family. If there's just one person, two person, how many kids there is, what age kids are they kindergarten, or are they in the school, and things like that. And then we also discussed that, okay, is your work permanently, or is it temporarily? It's just one person in the working, or two person in the family, and those things. And these things are very individual. Things in the families are different. We always discuss about that family situation. And of course, it's important to know how much savings, and savings are quite often also the down payments of what people need to have to get the loan. And we are also interested for the other loans. If person have plenty of other loans, that's also affecting how much loan we can offer for the house loan. And that sometimes surprised that why a car loan affecting how much loan, but that's the way it's because it increase expenses, and that's the one way to see. And and we are then we calculated normally at the first meeting, and after that how much loan we can offer, and we give offer, and we also discussed what kind of house it would be, or is it apartment, how much is the housing cost, or how much is the how maintenance cost, like water or heating and things like that. And we are very much interested for upcoming renovation. And for housing corporation, which is most common here in the Finland, we are mainly interested in what condition are the housing corporation, and what is the future repairing, like a plumb, are they okay, or things like that. But also we are a little bit interested is apartment needing renovation, and that's also our interest. And we are discussing how much you have saved and how much you are going to save in the future, because that's also affecting in the how secure we see the loan and the loan taker. And for timetable, it's very important to also discuss that is the need of apartment or house, is it urgent? Is it looking just now, or is it going to be in the future, like a building or something like that, that's going to be in the future? And but one important thing to understand that loans are individual. We make loan to one person or to one family, and the neighbors might get different loan, different pricing, different amount, because they have different salaries, they have different income, and they have different expenses. And when you buy an apartment or house, it's also terminated pricing where place you are buying, or also the financial status means also. And sometimes people ask how much loan I get, and we also discuss in the meeting in that one, but in our page and other bank pages are good calculators to see how much would be monthly payments. And here is the one loan which is I don't know, is it an average loan in the Finland? But anyway, 250,000, and loans are normally 25 years, and here interest rate is the 1%. It might be a little bit high, but anyway, in this calculation, it means in the interest rate 1%, the monthly payment is going to be 942 euros. And when you think about is this much or not, the people or the family must think about, okay, I have to pay this amount every month next 25 years. That's quite a long time. And if something happens, you have to always pay 942 euros. And if interest rate getting higher, the amount is getting higher. That's very important to understand. And we have put it here, all the pricing that you can have also protection for if you get sick or you die or you get unemployment. Those are insurances which helps situation that sometimes getting difficulties in life. But like any insurance, it has cost, but it helps when things get bad. And when we discuss about the OP bonus, there's one simple calculation that if you have loan 250,000, you would get bonus 615 euros per year. And if the interest rate would be 1%, total cost of the loan would be 284,000. But of course, if the interest rate getting like 3 or 4%, the total cost would be hugely bigger than 284. That's good to understand.
So actually, probably Remax can take now, and we come back with the question and answers that we got from the participants.
Yeah, maybe one question which is asked, we can take it already now.
Yeah.
So a person is asking, does it affect the loan amount whether you have or not the account in a particular bank from which you are asking the loan? So if a person is having a account in Nordea and asking a loan from OP Bank, does it impact the amount that you give?
No, it doesn't affect. We are calculating a loan amount way that how much is the net income. It means salary and other incomes, and that's making how much loan we are giving the customer, and it's also affecting the pricing, how much the loan cost. And that's competition. We are competing with the other banks like Nordea and Danske, and that's competition. It doesn't matter. I strongly recommend it to customers, to our and other banks, to have a little bit competition, have an offer at least 2 or 3 banks. It helps understand is the banking loan good for you, and understand the system also better.
That's very nice of you to say it, because yeah, and I totally agree that you need to have at least 2 or 3 options in hand and validate what is the good option for you.
Yeah.
Maybe Kate, you want to start with asking the questions to Remax, and then we take some other banking questions. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yes. Thank you, Timo and Petri.
Thank
now over to Juho and Guru. I think let's assume that now we have gone through the banks and we know that roughly the amount that we will get as a loan. And now starts the confusion of what kind of houses to buy. Should it be an apartment or a rivitalo or a omakotitalo or erlistalo? There are so many different types. So for a person who has a bank loan secured, how would you advise him or her to start with? How to conclude which is the right type of the house for me and my family? For example, if I have 400,000, I could go for an apartment and also a rivitalo, for example. So how would you advise us to clear the confusion first? Juho, you are muted.
I think this COVID thing has changed how people want to live, because now people have realized that you don't have to be in the office for 8 hours every day, so you can work from home. And maybe it has changed the trend a little bit more to rivitalo and erillistalo, omakotitalo. what is the English word? It's maybe flat and then terraced house or detached house. That trend has clearly now seen. It's not, people don't really want to go to the rails and trains anymore because on the other hand, if you think about all those areas in the Greater Helsinki area, which are far away from the railway, people usually have to have 2 cars. You have to take that in consideration. But most of the time, those areas are high-income areas which have very good schools, very good, very low crime rates. Of course, in Finland, all these things are very small. We don't really have a problem like you think about the global scale. But people are, I think it's a trend now. People want to know about the socio-economic situation of the area where they're moving. It's very important for them, and especially, in my opinion, the Chinese and Indian people, which I've been interacting a lot with, they want to know very specific details of the area where they're moving. And in my opinion, it's the trend which is going more towards these house areas now, because there is a lot of new small apartments available now. There is a surplus of those apartments, but very few family apartments, those terrace houses and real estate. And those, like we have been discussing this. I've had like 60 people in the showing, and they all went over the asking price during the last 2 years. It's been crazy, but now it's a little bit melting down, I think. But this is the trend in my opinion.
I think main thing first is to think that how big house you need, how many rooms. So if there's just husband and wife, then maybe flat. And it's not a amount. It's not about the loan amount. It's what you need actually, what your family needs. Do you need like if you have a 400,000 euros, the bank loan? It's from a center you can buy maybe 1 or 2 rooms flat. But if you go to little further, and then you can find own house, like own property, and it's a bigger. And near the metro stations or it depends on the micro location also in the area. That depends. The price is not actually what you should look. First is thing what you need. If you have there's 2 husband and wife and 2 kids, of course you can't you have to see how many rooms you need. Next one is okay, which area, where do you work, which is suitable for your family, and if there's kids in the family, then you need schools, see the schools locations and stuff like that. So it's pretty much about what normally here do. When I was buying house, what I did is I went to this Etuovi and Oikotie, and I put there like how big I need, 4 rooms or 4 rooms house. So I put there 4 rooms or more, and then I was seeing on which location there are good ones that suits for me, or which areas. And after that, you start watching the prices and everything. That is there something what you need on that area that you need? Is there something that fits for you? And then then you contact the agent that is selling that house, and you go to see that. And if the house is, and then you ask about the house, you have to ask the basic things and also look all the documents very carefully. And in Finland, it's good that if you have a loan, mostly even the bank checks the documents also. But after all, it's your responsibility to check it everything, and you can even and the agent that is selling that house, he's serving the one who is selling that house, but also he's by Finnish law he has to tell everything about that property, all the details and documents, and tell you everything about that house also to you. And if he tells you something wrong or missing some information, then he has to he will be accountable for that.
That doesn't happen in our office though.
Good to know. Good to know. I think that clarifies a lot of things. That understanding one's own need is the first step, and then of course you can decide on the type of the house based on your needs and based on the houses that you look at. Instead of an apartment, you can also go for a row house, for example. That brings me to one more question for you before we hand it over to Ope. Juho, you were talking about certain houses or socioeconomic status of the areas are taken into consideration by some families or by some cultures. As Indians, most of us do not speak good Finnish, or we are not part of the local systems to understand what are the good areas, so-called good areas or the bad areas. How do we get to that point of understanding an area? Is it a good area or a bad area in some sense?
First thing is they can always call me and I explain them in Hindi or Punjabi. So,
That's very nice of you, Guru, to offer that. Your phone will be ringing now.
No problem. And I think there was 2 months ago, we had sales where the seller was Punjabi and the buyer was Punjabi, and I was on notary, kaupan vahvistus there, and I was Punjabi. So all the three parts, the bank wasn't Punjabi, but it was Nordea. It's close enough, but still, I mean, it's nowadays it's not like you can have a service in Finnish. If you don't speak such a good Finnish, just ask. Even some Finnish, some English, the real estate agent and everybody has to explain you that you understand this stuff. Don't be shy about that.
Yes. That's a very kind of from you, but you know, in India we speak 28 languages and you cannot serve everyone in their own language. So I take my question back to you, Ho. So give us some kind of an indicators that will help us to decide these are the typical good areas or bad areas.
I think it's interesting because the media always is telling that they look at the square meter price, average square meter price of the area, which is very, it's not a good indicator because you have like Kallio, you have 60% of people living there are living in the rent, and they have small apartments. Investors own the apartments. Kallio is just an extreme example. But then you have like, you have two places like Malmi, and then you have Kauniainen. And you have, in Malmi, you have actually higher square meter price than in Kauniainen. But the average house in Kauniainen is 800,000 euros, and in Malmi is probably 250,000. There are two different kind of areas, so you can't compare the areas based on the square meter price. That is the biggest thing that the media always is bringing this up. And I think it's the schools, which is very important for most. And also, when you go around and drive around some area, like which are very popular areas like Paloheina, you can see yourself. I mean, which is the surroundings, what kind of people are living here. And I think when you drive around and ask questions, you can really get the basic understanding of different kind of socioeconomic areas in Greater Helsinki. It's not very easy to. When I was young, I was driving. When I was studying in the Computer Institute in Helsinki, I was driving a taxi cab in Helsinki, and in my youth, I really got really good understanding of different areas and different places, what kind of people are living there, and that has helped me a lot in this job because I always know what kind of place I'm going. And I can advise people about the areas and what kind of people are living there. But basically, I think we don't really have that kind of segregation that in the global scale. It's very, most Finnish people, Finnish areas are very good and safe. That is a given.
Yeah, and maybe I'd just like to add, Juho, what you mentioned, that a real estate agent is supposed to tell, or maybe Guru, you were mentioning, if there is any issue with the house, or if there's any problem or anything. So I think it is also for our audience that Finnish society works on a trust basis, and in most of the cases, people tell the truth. If there is a problem, it's written or told up front. But what do we do if you come across a situation like when you're buying a house, do you need to order for inspection, or
Yes,
how do you do that? Because that is a question that comes across many times.
but that is also, in my opinion, it has been blown out of proportion in the media, because people, they read the tabloid magazines and they always read the horror stories. And there's one particular house which has been really horrible, and only the worst houses get through the magazines. But we are I don't know if we are number one biggest office in Finland anymore, but we are among the biggest offices in Finland. We sell hundreds of apartments and maybe hundreds of real estates every year, and there's basically like one which has a problem. So it's kind of the image that people get from this media, that there are so many problems, but people take care of their private properties very well. It's the public buildings which are problematic, like schools and everything. But no one is really responsible for those because they're owned by the state and the city. But private properties, people generally take care of them. And when we have this cooperation with Rock Systems, which is the biggest house inspection company in Finland, and we always make the inspection beforehand. Usually we do that before we take it even on the sale. So I think it's very safe to buy, and it's the image which is a little bit. I think it's kind of like hysteria, and I'm not saying, I'm not downplaying it. There are problems.
No, but maybe my question, I'll just add a little angle that, let's say if Remax is selling a house for someone, you usually do the inspection. Let's say I'm buying from a single seller or some other company and the inspection is not done. Can you put that as a, your offer that,
Yes.
hey, this is a offer based on inspection? Yeah.
Bank even wants that, pretty much.
Okay. Okay.
It depends what you are buying. If you are buying a flat in housing company, you don't have many big risks, because there are there's what's on the housing company's responsibility to fix, and what's the owner's responsibility to fix. But if you buy a house like this townhouse, which you own it, property you own it, and the building you own, then inspection is very necessary.
You mean the omakotitalo or real estate?
Yeah, that's very important, because you're alone with that.
Yes.
So fixing about all the responsibility is yours. And then you can order, like say in the offer that I demand inspection, and that you pay half. The seller pays half, and the buyer pays half. But the normal inspection that is done when you're selling or buying, it's not that they don't really open anything. They don't open the wall and see what's behind there. They just check it. Is there anything that should be like
surface level?
Yeah, surface level. And it's very, and also that how old is the house, how it's made, how is the ground, how is the roof, how are the walls made. So if nothing else, it gives you a lot of information, how the house is made and everything, and how to maintain it. So inspection doesn't mean that you have to find something bad about it, but when you're buying, especially if you're a foreigner and you don't know so much about the technique, it's a good introduction to the building and how to maintain it.
Yes.
And if you buy omakotitalo, own house, then it's very necessary to know how the house is built. Is how the roof is, and how the ground is, and
Pipes are yeah.
So how to maintain it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, maybe
No
now
problem.
we give some time for the bankers to go through some questions, but we request all of you, Juho and Guru, and also Petri, please also check the questions in the chat, and if for possible questions that you can type and answer, please do that. The rest of the questions we take it live as well.
Yeah.
While you have time. Yes. please, Timo, you can start with the questions that you have already gathered the answers for.
Yeah, and I think there was a question on ASP account which you had in your slide, so maybe you could get started.
Sure.
And maybe one question that has been asked 3 times, I was just checking, is that can people change the bank loans from one bank to the other bank?
Yeah, it's quite easy. It's even easier to get the new loan. Changing the bank is even easier to get the new loan. And I make plenty of bank changes. And we discussed, of course, the same things as the new customer, but changing is very easy. And sometimes it's people are not satisfied with their old bank. Sometimes the reason is competition, and sometimes it might be other things. But you can say it's very easy.
Okay. So maybe you could go through your
Here is the questions we got from you. Thank you. There are so many questions and very good. And the first was this about ASP account, how we gather some few informative things about
my ASP is my favorite thing, and I recommend it for all the people which are saving money for apartment or the house. You should be between 15 to 39 years old when you are starting to saving the ASP account. It's I think it's the best way to save money from a home, because you get 1% tax-free deposit rate, and when you're buying apartment or house, you get 4% bonus interest rate. It's a very good interest rate in this environment, and that's like a perfect thing. And it's a good way also saving, because you are not allowed to take out of the money in that deposit, and that makes also helps the saving, because you are not allowed to use for the other kind of use than buying the apartment. And if you think about disadvantage and advantage for ASP account, the disadvantage is that if you take an ASP loan, if you think about government and the flexibility, they are not in the same sentence. And but quite often people are saving to ASP, but they have a normal loan and they get the benefit for the saving ASP account, and they have flexible normal loan in the bank. That's very typical. And one really important thing is also for the transfer tax, that when you're a first-time buyer and you might be having ASP account or not, you don't have to pay any transfer taxes. The first-time buyers doesn't have to pay anything, and like remarks guys told, that difference between house apartment, and that's also difference between transfer tax, because in the apartment it's 2%, in the houses it's 4%, and when you think about $500,000 house and 4%, that is 20,000 euro. It's quite a lot of money. And there have been a couple of questions also for the down payment, and that's depending, are you first-time buyers or have you previous before, because first-time buyer needs to have at least 5% down payment, and if you have before apartment or house, then you have to have 15%. And but making it more complicated in some situation, you don't need to have down payment, and those are the discussion which you have in the loan mortgage conversation, what is best for you situation. And quite often when we have decided it's okay, you have good earnings, and then we think about the guarantees, and that we have different ways to guarantee the loan. We have those kind of guarantees when you pay something. It's like an insurance company which give you guarantee, or it could be state guarantee. all those guarantees cost something. They are not expensive, but they have cost. That also good to know. And there's also a question about what kind of Euribor or fixed rate. My personal opinion is that if you are worried about the rising rates, because they mostly are rising, then you should at least think about interest rate cap, which protected you for the loan, your monthly based cost, and many banks are different, but we have 10 to 14 years to cap, and other way also to have fixed rate even to 25 years. Then you know exactly how much you are going to pay for the apartment and for the loan. And also for the question, what is the house insurance and what it's covering? If you have the apartment, it's cheaper and it's only mainly cover your liability and your stuff inside the apartment, and of course in the outside apartment when you are outside the home. But when you have house insurance, it covers the house, let's say fire and something unexpected happening or pipe leaks or something. That's the biggest difference between home insurance. Apartment insurance are cheaper because you are only you are insured only the things inside the apartment, and when you think about house, we are also insured the floors and the roof and things like that.
So maybe there was a question about ASP account, which I think we can take here only.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum amount that you need to save with this ASP account?
Yeah, it's the rules are very simple and they are the same all the banks in the Finland, and you have to save 50 euro per month, but it says that you have to save 150 euro in the 3 months period, and you have to save 8 quarters, and you are allowed to get ASP loan. And ASP loan is the, like I say, good way to save, but it doesn't mean that we give the loan. And that sometimes falls thinking about that if you save in the ASP account, we always give you a loan. No, we make the same valuation. Do we make a loan or do we not? What kind of loan, how much loan, and those are the personal conversation which we are making. But ASP is excellent way to save money.
So you can begin with as little as 50 euros a month, and I think it's a good way to start some savings. Maybe Kit, one more question I'll take for them here, because
Yes.
few of the people have asked. So as you see, most of the people here are immigrant population, and they might have different types of visas, that they are student visa or type A or type B visas. So what is are you aware what kind of immigration status they need or type of visa to be able to be eligible to get a loan? Like, do they need a permanent residentship?
Yeah.
Or
For us, the permanent resident is the best one because it's the permanent. It's easy to say, but when we make the loans, also other cases, it could be A or it could be B, and we see those case by case, how the future it's look, how is the work, what kind of work he or she is doing, and it's case by case. And let's say it's easiest way to get a loan is for the permanent resident, but we also make loans for A and B, and that is nothing unusual.
Yeah. And maybe one more question, which I read somewhere, again, on the rate of interest. So maybe if you could little bit explain how is it formed, because it's a combination of Euribor and then the bank's own fee for giving the loan. And a lot of people are, confused. How should they take the interest protection, or what is the way? So maybe if you can even begin with how is the interest rate composed of, and then what is the fluctuating part, which is Euribor? Yeah.
Yeah. And when we make an offer, we are telling that our margin as a bank, and it's normally between 0.4 to 1% as a home loan. And let's say it's 0.5 is the margin for you. And then we put the Euribor, which changes in the 12-month period. And now it's something like 0.2. Euribor, and if it would be today, the first year, the price of the money would be something like 0.7, because the basic price for the customer is 0.5 and Euribor is 0.2. They together combined, it's 0.7, and that's 12-month period. And after that, it's going to be changed because Euribor it's going to be changed. The bank margin is always the same, let's say 0.5, and then this Euribor is 2%, then total price would be 2.5%. If it's a 0, then it's 0.5, because that is the cost of money for our bank. And that's the problem. In Finland, we have very cheap loans because the risk is for the customer. And because you don't know the future rates, and the risk is for the customer. And if you want to reduce the risk, we can make the fixed rate, or we can put the interest rate cap to lower the risk for the customer. And normally we put it in the 1 or 2% level. Then customer know in the worst situation, my rates, it's not getting higher than 2% because I have interest rate cap in there in my loan. And that's a discussion we make when we have that loan conversation, what is good for the customer, because different kind of people take different kind of risk. And those people, some people sleep very well, they can manage all the risk, and some people want to plenty of protection, and they might take a fixed rate, or they have very low margin protection. That's good for them.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can take one follow-up question and then a couple of questions for Juho and Guru. Are there any penalties? For example, if I have gone with the 12 months Euribor, but now I want to change it to a fixed rate with the collar. So what would be my penalty for a 400,000 loan?
Yeah.
If I for changing minds?
Yeah, that's always a new conversation of the loan. You can, if you have a Euribor loan, you can make an interest rate cap in there. That's, we can discuss here, and okay, you want to interest rate cap. But if you want to have fixed rate loan, that compensation of to chasing the loan terms, because
Yes.
it's no penalty, but it's totally new loan in that situation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe moving to Remax people, let's say our friends at OP are very kind and they're ready to give the loan. But again, the question, like Kit earlier asked, that what are the good areas or locations where one should start looking for a house? But where do you start looking? And I see at least 3 or 4 people are asking also that does Remax provide these services in searching a house? Or
Yes.
is Oikotie the only alma mater here? Or how do you recommend?
And the fee for it, if they have a fee for it.
Yeah, yeah.
We could use the chat.
Yeah, we check those questions. I think we can't really use the chat. It's too complicated. We are middle-aged. You know.
It's okay, it's okay.
I'm 20.
But you know, this buying things for someone, they are a little bit complicated because it's not really working that well. But if you have something that you find that other Remax broker is selling, we have the rule in this is Remax chain that we can always sell it for you. But if you find something for sale which is on Remax brand, you can contact us first. So we can take the papers, we can take the documents, everything, and we can check the house for you. And actually, we can even show the house for you. So if you want to, but it has to be in the Remax chain. but other brokers, they are doing those. It's called ostotoimeksianto. I don't know what's the English word for that, but they don't really work that well, in my opinion, because it's maybe Guru has something to.
Yeah, mostly it is that there is possible that you contact, for example, me or Juha, and we make contract that you are looking this kind of house, and this is the this kind of house from this area, and then we make contract. It's same contract like you are selling or buying, but then the one who is going to buy a house, he's gonna pay the agent's fees. So the one who is selling, they don't need to. And it works, but basically we shouldn't be that if my clients make a contract for buying, then I don't go to the Oikotie and watch from there and then show you. It's like if somebody asks me like, hey, let's make a contract, search me a house from this area, then I will we do the contract, then I will market it to that area, the people and the houses that are similar that what the buyer wants. Then I market to them. I have a buyer, he will pay the fee, you don't need to pay the fee, and he's looking for this. If you want to sell, please contact me. So I will find the house which is not on the listed publicly. So that's what it means basically. And if somebody is like, and if I'm selling some kind of house, then somebody's, I know this Indian that is, sometimes people don't want to make contract, but they call me and let me know that, hey, I'm buying, looking for a house, this kind of, and they don't want to make contract. They want to keep searching on the Oikotie Etuovi, but they let me know that if you get some, that you will be selling some this kind of house, please contact me. So then I will tell them, hey, I'm selling now. There's some new listing. So if you're interested, please come and see the house. Then the real estate agent's fees pays that the one who has a contract. So if I'm selling house and I have contract with somebody who wants to buy, I can't take the fee from both.
Yes.
I can make it half for both, or just if I have already contract, then I will sell it like the seller is paying.
Yeah, so I
Got
think
it.
this is also a good piece of information, because unlike in Finland, typically in India, when you are buying a house, both the parties pay the agent fee. So
Yeah.
in Finland, it's only the seller who pays and not the
But-
buyer, unless if they ask you to do a contract. It's a different story.
Yeah, but if I'm if there's the seller has a different agent and a different firm, and I'm like I have with a buyer, so
Yeah.
then they have to both pay.
Of
But
course.
agent can take a fee from both. He can
Yeah.
say like half and half from both, or just from another one.
But I can
Okay.
tell something about last summer's crazy market. I sell mostly in Laaksolahti, Järvenperä, Lippajärvi, which is my area, in the Jorvi hospital area. And there was so many people in the showings, like 50 people every time, and only one got the house. And I always, that was really crazy market last summer. And all the people who were offering for the house and didn't get the house, I took them to my own list, private list. If I get something, I will tell them before that the house is coming to the market, because this has only been possible now because there is a shortage of these family apartments, houses in that area. And people, I mean, I've never experienced anything like last summer. And even now, I sold one in Järvenperä. There was like 60 people, and there was 7 offers for one house. And it went 10,000 over the asking price. But all those people, good people who offered for the house, I put them on my private list, and I'm not charging anything. Before I get something to my view, which is coming to me, I will inform them before it goes to the public sale.
But there also a question comes to my mind, because I told you I recently bought the house, and this was the dilemma there were 25 people seeing the house. So we knew that tonight it's going to get sold and one of us will get it. Luckily this time we were the lucky one. but we also offered above the asking price. How do you know what is the right price? Maybe that would be a very relevant question. Or are there some websites where you can check what are the prices in this area?
This is, I think this has been based on the broker himself. I have the style that I always go to take the house and I want to take it for the right price. I always ask the seller, which is the price that you are willing to sell this? And we put that price. And if the price is very attractive, it's always going to attract a lot of people to the showings, and the end result can be a lot better if you use the old style that you put like 30,000. What is the word in English? Tinkimisvara.
Bargaining.
Yes, especially in this market situation now, where there's a shortage of that type of houses. This has worked extremely well.
That you anyways will get the higher price. Yeah.
The price is it's like even in the same area, there are two different kind of, and it's again goes like that. If somebody has put a price, and if you don't get it, somebody else. I mean, it's sold fast, and there are many people interested in it. Then the price is the right, and maybe. But the bad thing about that is the only way you think that you can find out is the price. You are interested in some house, it's 300,000 euros, and you go to see it. If you make offer, you get it. You will always think like, maybe I bought it too expensive. But if you check it and then you wait for the like, is it gonna be there after 1 week, after 2 weeks, after 1 month? Then you probably, and still it's not go, you can go there and make an offer like which is less than that. So bad thing about it is that you don't know until you make offer, and you don't know if somebody else buys it. You know?
Yes.
I want to say one thing. Still, this in our office, we are a big company. We are not taking any houses. I mean, I'm not taking anything overpriced, because I've been selling. I don't have to take overpriced houses, because sometimes you don't get to the agreement with the seller. If the seller can be really unrealistic with his expectations, but I don't even take those. But we are big chain, and we don't usually overprice, and we don't usually overvalue our apartments and houses.
Yes.
And
thank you. Sorry, I think we can also move to the other question. Sorry for interrupting, Guru, but
no problem.
loads of questions are there for both of you, like Ope and Rimac. So let's go a bit further. Sorry for interrupting again. That brings the question of houses are built on rented land or the owned land, which is best? That's one thing. Then how do I find a property which is being demolished? Then I can build my own house. How do I find this information? So there are two questions for you. Then we take it over to Ope.
Okay, so is it leased or is it owned property? So of course, best is that you own that property. But if you have a house which its own property, it costs 500,000 euros, and then it's same house which is it's a leased. It's not your, but the building is yours. It costs 300,000 euros or 350. So it's a very simple question. Of course, it's better that it's your own, but it's going to pay more because you are also buying the property. And the other one, you are not buying the property, you are just buying the building, and you're going to pay the lease for it. So it's cheaper. How much you are ready to invest?
So when you say buying the property is the land, right? Buying the land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
and and one thing is, if you want to live on the on a certain area, there's many areas in like Itäkeskus near there, or some others that city owns that, or Alppikylä, their new house and everything. City owns that, all the lands there. They don't sell it. So if you want to live on the certain area, you have to just manage it with the leased property.
Yes.
That's
so
a good
money
point.
and the location.
And I want to say, which is a very important point, because if the city owns the land, it's usually that the raises in the rent are always very moderate. They are just, the city doesn't have any motivation to increase the rents that much, and it's pretty safe if you have like a rent contract to 2065 with the city. I mean, some apartments in the rented land, like old Hitas apartments in Malminkartano, Södernes, they're very cheap. They can be very good deals but it's a different thing when you buy a flat house in city land, or if you buy your own house, which is owned by like some kind of OP, kiinteistörahasto, sorry, OP, no, OP, but something which is owned by the private company. City doesn't usually have any interest of raising the rents. It's just the index raise, and they are pretty safe. And in my opinion, some of those old Hitas apartments, they're very good deals if the contract is long.
And if you are buying something that on a leased land, then please check how long when is the lease deal ending. That's probably the next time when the rent of the land is going to raise.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Kit, still in context to this, a question to Remax only. Like we spoke about searching for the houses, and can you help, or how can people do? Of course, Etovi or Oikotie are options online. But sometimes there is a lot of these hidden properties, like new developments coming from certain companies like Sayukon or Estel or Pekka Latinen, or a lot of these private companies. They also, I have seen, usually don't come on Oikotie immediately. And when I have contacted them, I've got to know, okay, they're coming up with something. If they don't manage to sell it, then it comes on Oikotie. Again, is there any way or websites where you can know about what are new developments coming? If somebody wants to buy a new house only, then?
Well,
I can also follow it up with another question that will go to OPE. So for these kind of properties also which are being developed, will OPE consider a loan? So
Yeah.
it's a question for both of you to take.
Jointly, yeah, agreed.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
maybe Guru, yeah, go
if you
first.
went to the certain properties like Sajukon or Lehto, or mostly if they're telling about them, okay, we know the real estate, the agents who are selling the company or something, we are started the marketing, or we are going to public it, or before that. But mostly you can follow that if you go to straight to their website. That's the only way, because there are different.
Yeah, but that's the thing that, like, it's, if you're new to Finland, you would not know such companies, right? Okay, like when you are searching or you've been around, you know few of them. But then for most people, Oikotie is then the place where they will get to know. Okay.
Yeah, I would add something. If I would be like this, I would say like I would have lived here on 5 years or 2 years or 3 years. I would contact a real estate agent and ask him to contract with him and to find find a good property that he can check all the documents. He can check what's the condition of the property, how is it built, that understand everything. So I would in that case, I would recommend the American style. For example, the buyer has own real estate agent and the seller has own. It will be cheaper upfront. I would do that. If I'm selling for example, I'm selling my own house or something, I always take a real estate agent. Or if I have also commercial properties invested, I'm searching for a tenant or something, I use other companies. I don't do it myself.
Okay.
And
Guru,
because
in that case, what would be your fee? How do you decide your fee for the service?
It depends on pretty much how big work you need there is. Okay. But normally it's can be 3 and 5%, 3.5%, or there's minimum fee, but it depends how much work I have in. So that's how you ask me for certain type, I can say, okay, this will be the fee.
Fair enough.
I would definitely, that is how you won't get cheated.
Yes.
And you know what you are buying.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper than buying something bad.
That's true. That's true.
So in that case, really should hire a real estate agent to check all that for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we move over to OPE to answer the question of properties being developed, and if we manage to find one, will there be loan for that?
So under
Yes, of course.
construction.
Yeah, if it's in the construction, depending which company is building that one, because it has to be ARAS building, and it means that the banks has own system which like helps to make guarantee that because we don't have anything value
There's no
before the
collateral.
house is already built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are just trusting the company which is the building the house, and we have a system called ARAS which helps to finance those buildings. And
Yes.
we also make loans for those one, and we pay those parts which already over there. And when the house is ready, then we get the papers in the company, and then person normally gets also moving there. But it's very common, in nothing unusual, but that's also the thing we must know which company is building that one, and is it part of ARAS system. That's very important for us.
Okay, a follow-up question for you, and then a joint question for both of you, like Remax and OPE. The follow-up question is, what is this RS system? Can you explain it? We understand that it is kind of a safe system, but what does it mean? This RS Kohde or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it means that if some kind of problem happens with the building, the people which are going to buy that apartment get a really apartment, not just a part of the building, because we have in the other system we had guarantee that it's getting financed. And that's the key thing, because sometimes companies get bankrupt, and we only finance in our system the companies which are big enough and they have good investment rates, that they are suitable for building the houses, and we are making also the loans for the companies. That's important.
Okay.
They are trustworthy company if they are getting in an RS system.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Next question is a joint one. One part goes to Juho and Guru. Where do we find properties which are being demolished, like old houses? There we can build our own house. And the question for OPE is that for this kind of demolishing property and building our own house, do we get a loan which will cover both the costs? Because demolishing a property also costs tens of thousands of euros, if I have understood correctly. So if I'm applying for a loan for this kind of a property where there is no property yet, but there's only an old house that I need to demolish, so will your loan, how would you assess your loan for that kind of a situation? So first, finding a property to Juho and Guru, and the loan for this kind of a property to you, both of you, Timo and Petri.
Yes. I've sold quite a few of those lands which had a property which is in very bad condition, and I think estimate average for demolishing and taking it away is something like 20,000 to 30,000, which is just the rule of thumb. But basically, what I've been understanding, you can buy the land, and if you just strictly are buying the land, there's of course the bank usually takes in account, of course, the whole project costs, which is, I mean, the land can be 100,000, but the building of the house can be 400,000 more. So bank are really, they really know their stuff. They have really good estimates of the materials and what is the total cost of that project. And it's basically, I think it's the same as buying a used property. Bank just check the realistic estimate of the whole project and give it the loan. I would think it's pretty much the same conditions.
How do we find these kind of properties?
You can find it from the Oikotie. There's or just lands that you can see the tontit, or you can look omakotitalos with very bad condition. Maybe
Conditions, okay.
Yeah, bad condition.
Okay.
Maybe they are selling it. Otherwise,
Okay.
they are like if they're selling some house or property, they are just selling asset only.
Don't.
Yeah.
I have a couple
Yes.
good ones. Just
Yeah.
contact me.
But
Okay. Okay.
I'm in the situation at the moment that I'm living in since living in for 9 years in Rajakylä, and now I started a year and a half. I bought a land, and I'm building a omakotitalo in there. So bank gave me I have a Nordea as my bank, but they gave me like, okay, you have they gave me this rakentamislaina. So they gave me loan to build that house.
Okay.
And I am still living in my old house, and they just took that as a guarantee.
Guarantee.
They
Okay.
told me that you can rent it, or you can keep it, or you sell it. I'm selling it, but
Okay.
when that I'm gonna get that house ready in a few weeks.
Yes.
So, and I'm selling my old one, and then paying some loan back to them. But
Yes.
it's possible. But if you want to build a house, there's a lot of bureaucracy and
Processes involved. Yeah.
process. Yeah. So then
Yes.
it's very important that you have a very good knowledge of what
Loan.
you are doing.
Knowledge. Thank
Loan
you.
also, but also the knowledge that how everything goes.
What needs to be
The checkings and how
city permissions and things like that.
plan.
Yes.
And when you are buying the land, you have to check the city plan.
Yes.
What you can buy, what you can build, where you can build, what color, what stuff. There's sometimes it's very, very specific.
Strict regulations. Yes.
So city plan is very important on that class.
Yes. Thank you. But now we move over to OPE. While one of you are answering this question for a loan for the whole thing, from demolishing, constructing, you can take over the rest of your slide. I think you have one more slide with a couple of questions. Then we can also finish that. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe while you're doing that, there was a question also that let's say somebody has an eligibility of 400,000 for the loan, and they buy the house of 350. So there was a question someone is asking, can I use the remaining money for renovation or stuff, or is that a separate loan that they need to apply for?
Yeah, it's we can make in the same time like renovation loan. That's totally okay, but they are different use of money.
Yes.
When you make a home loan, it has to be a home, or if it's housing corporation, it could be also loan for the housing corporation. But if it is a renovation loan, it's different pricing, different use, but it's possible to make same time. That's very common. But that's also the discussion when we have like a discussion for the loans, what is need and what is the expenses and so on.
Sure.
And we have now a couple of other questions, and there's also a question about ASP. I also answer that one because somebody asked, are you able to quit ASP savings if you don't want to buy an apartment or house? That's totally okay. You get that 1% tax-free interest rate. That's okay, but you don't get those 4% extra bonus interest rate because you haven't buy apartment or house. But it's okay to quit, but then you have to start again with a zero, because it's either buy an apartment or house, or you quit saving and then you start again. But there's a couple of questions have been in the down payment also, and down payment here could be quite a lot thing. My personal view that it should be some kind of savings, and ASP is the one way to save, but of course you can save in the stock market in other way. That's the best way to have a down payment. I personally think it's when you think about different banks, what is important is think about what you need for the loan. You've been heard what kind of loan you needed, and of course what is the service level, and what is the person chemia between a person, because you are making very personal deals. That is also important, that you trust person which you're dealing. And there's question, what happens if you are mutual loan and other dies and you come disabled? My personal advice would be that you discuss before you take a loan, what if happen those things? Can you be insured? Do you want to be insured? Otherwise, the problem is mainly the customer problem, because you have take the loan and you have to pay loan back. But of course, when something like that happens, we also can make a little bit delays of the payment and so on. But in the big picture, loan has been taken and it has to be paid back. And one important question I quite often get that people have collaterals which are not in the Finland. And a very strict answer is that we don't take any collaterals which are outside of Finland, and that has to be in the Finland. That is the many things we can settle that it's not absolutely that way, but that is absolutely that way. And sometimes people ask, but if I get sick or not some way able to pay it, that is also when we have a loan discussion, we can offer protection insurance. That's cost, of course, something. But depending on situation, we can make loan repayment holiday. But remember, that's just a temporary thing, and the whole amount the loan has to be paid back, and it's also increased amount for the next period when it has to be paid back. And the big question also, how about the children's savings? To buy a new own house, and it would be very nice to start saving as a one-year kid. And my recommendation and the bank recommendation, and think about it's invested money, something which have very high interest rate, like mutual funds, then it helps to savings get bigger. Because when rates are higher, you also the time period is longer. It helps the saving grow faster. That's our advice for that one.
Thanks for these questions and answers.
Any other questions in there?
Maybe I want to cover one more question, still being conscious of the time. We are just 3 minutes away. Maybe this is a common question to both of you guys, but maybe I want Remax or you to answer first. We've spoken about buying homes, and it seems most of the questions were about buying home for a living. What about buying home as an investment, like a property investment, especially in the current geopolitical situation with, sorry, sweetie, I'm in a meeting.
We saw him.
Sorry, my daughter interrupted. Yeah, with the increasing Euribor rates, with the geopolitical situation that we are in, do you recommend that people should go for some investments in property at this point in time? Is there a value on return on investment? And then I don't know what happens with the interest rates. Maybe OP can take that afterwards.
Yeah.
But
These are very dangerous things to answer, because if you look at the history, all the best experts have always been most wrong. If you look at the history, if you look at the Lehman 2009, everyone was saying that now they never buy anymore, never buy a house. But actually the prices went really low, and it was a good time to buy. And when the COVID started 2020 spring, everything collapsed for 2 months and prices went down a little bit. But after, in the summer, I mean, it was huge, how do you say, hysteria that everyone wanted to buy, and the prices increased. Now we have similar situation. The market is a little bit down now, but I'm not giving any advice, because it's very difficult.
I would say
it's unsolicited advice. No worries.
if you're looking property for investing, and you're buying when everybody's buying, or you're selling when everybody's selling, you're going to lose, right? So the good is you find when other people are selling.
Yes. And I want to say one thing. When you are buying investor apartments, the biggest money you are making when you buy the apartments is it's the timing of the buying, because then it's actually when you can make a good investment. Because now, for example, I've seen in Kallio area, there have been a lot of new one-room apartments available. There is actually 150 one-room apartments in Kallio, Sörnäinen, Alppila, Alppihari, Vallila area, which is more than in many years. There's a lot of surplus because they have built those small apartments now, and maybe in 1 year it can be a really good time to buy. You never know. And this is, if I knew, I would be a rich guy. But it's very important that I don't want to give any advice on that, because it's impossible.
If you're buying for investment and you don't have much loan on, that you use as much as possible your own money, that you can't lose buying property if you don't have to sell. You don't have to sell. You can keep it over the bad times, then you're never going to lose.
And also now the inflation rate is very high. So if I had some spare money now, I would definitely buy something really like house or investing apartment. Now it's a good time to buy. If you have spare money, it's a great time to buy, because what is the real inflation rate? I don't know. The bank guys can probably answer 7%, whatever. And it's really a good time to buy if you have some extra spare money. Very few of us, of course, have it, but you know, I would definitely invest to something like that now.
I think that's a good advice. Maybe
you wanna
Timo and
yeah, on the interest rates and the fluctuating Euribor, I was lucky to close it under 0, but now it is above 0. So any comments on that?
I would give one more advice for the investing. If you are buying houses for invest, then I would recommend you to buy from housing companies, 1 bedroom or 2, or you know, because if something happens, even the housing company has insurance and they cover some stuff. It's better. You shouldn't buy a rivitalo or a omakotitalo to rent. It's not. I mean, even somebody's paying 1 year, 2 year, 3 year good rent, and he makes something there, something like, you know, it's a huge risk. I would never buy a rivitalo or a omakotitalo rented.
yes,
The flats are better, they're safer.
good advice.
Good
Here,
advice.
Definitely good advice. Somebody was asking about it as well.
Yeah.
Yes, but Timo and Petri, what is your take on this interest rates and investing in an apartment instead of living there, just buying one more apartment for investment? Would you advise that now?
Yeah, that's an extremely difficult question. In our bank, think about that in the 1 year period, the interest rate would be something like 1.5 to 2%. And it means that normally when interest rates rise, that the housing market is lower. That's a common way to think about it. But as the guys in the remark says, that there's plenty of inflation, and in that way that house and apartment, they keep their value anyway. And this situation, it's not bad thing, but keep in mind, because high inflation quite normally means higher interest rate, and you need to have an extra buffer to pay those higher interest rate costs. And you need to be prepared to higher interest rate cost. That's my personal view and the bank point of view. Okay. And for investing apartment, it's when you don't use just like a bank's money, you use like a 50% own money, 50% bank's money, then it's quite safe. But when you use just bank's money, then might be a little bit different, because if interest rates are rising, you lose the rental people in there, and what is the cash flow? Nowhere, and then it's coming to problems.
Yes.
Right.
Looking at the time, Vaishali, I screened through these questions, and there are 3 questions that can be split between Remax and
So
Open.
the thing is, I'll keep the session on. I
Yes.
have somebody at my door, so I need to go and attend. But you can
Yes.
take the questions if the guests are okay to stay.
Can
But I'll
we
mute
take like a
myself
couple of
and you take
minutes?
them.
Just
Yeah.
a couple of questions. Yes. Okay. The first question to Ope is that about again ASP. Somebody was asking, should there be like a minimum amount in the ASP account that will qualify them to buy a house? That is one question. The second question is, for example, if you're saving for our children, then there is a cap from Vero, like it has to be under 4,999.
It's not
in 3
like
years.
you have.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Petri, were you saying something?
Sorry, I have a little bit difficult to hear the question, but asking for the first question, I heard it. And when you think about saving the ASP loan, the rule says that you have to save at 8 quarters. And it doesn't tell only the 150 euro per quarter, but let's think about if you're saving like 8 quarters to 150 euro, it's nothing. To be fair. And when you think about the main thing is that you have at least 10% saving money when you're going to ASP loan. Let's say an apartment cost 200,000, you need to have ASP saving at least 20,000 euro. Then we loan 180,000 as an ASP loan. And that's the more important. I think about how much you have to save per year. You have to have at least 10% savings to get the ASP loan. And that's the basic idea for the ASP account.
Is it allowed for the parents to put it in the ASP account of a child, any amount, or is there also a Vero cap for that, like 4,999 only under 3 years? For 3 years, you can only gift to the child only 4,999 euros. Is there also the same for ASP account?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. That it's our lines are a little bit bad here. And
okay. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we have some connection issues, I see.
Okay, but do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was asking, is there any
now.
Okay, is there any limit for a parent to put in the child's ASP account? Like, can they put any amount in ASP account, or do they have to follow the Vero regulation of only 4,099 euros for 3 years? Is there anything like that in an ASP account?
Sorry, sorry, we have so bad connection here, Kit, that we are not able to get the questions that are difficult to answer. But if it's for the ASP account for the children, that is not possible because it has to be at least 15 years old to have an ASP account. And we're thinking about young boy or girl to saving, they can save when they are 15 years old, they own money to ASP account.
Okay.
But they are not allowed to use the money which they gave the parents for the money. And that is the one way to starting for as a young person in the age of 15 to saving to ASP account.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. But Juho, a question for you is about the 1960s and 70s Paritalo and Rivitalo built in 1960s. How safe it is to buy? For example, if it has been renovated and things like that, is it still safer to buy?
I would really, this is really one of my favorite topics because I've been selling a lot of old houses, and I really don't think that there is a big difference between the quality of old houses and new houses. Of course, the new houses have different standards when building houses, and the old houses, they have this so-called risk structures, like flat roof and valesokkeli, which is, I don't know the English equivalent words for those, but most of the time they are just structure. They are not, it doesn't mean that the house is bad, because I've been inspecting with rock systems a lot of old houses, and actually I have only one house which was really bad, and it was built in 2000s. It was a Rinnetontti, you know. Like I told, it was a slope surface. Like I told you, we sell a lot of those old houses, and people take care of their properties, and sometimes they can be really good deals, but I definitely recommend inspecting, and of course, if it's possible, some kind of structural inspection, because of course there are problems, and you know, but in many times they are overplaying in the media of this problem, and based on what our experience and track record is, they are not so bad, and they can be really good bargains. But
Okay.
of course, every house is a different story.
Different.
So
And okay. So it's not as bad. It's not 100% bad. So they can still check and make a decision to buy.
I think RAG systems that we are doing cooperation with, they have very professional inspectors, and I think generally it's very safe, because when you sell a real estate, there's always the 5-year time responsibility for the house, for the seller, even most of those which are not visible in the inspection report, that the seller is 5 years responsible.
Okay, that's a good information to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so looking at the time, our last question to all of you is, can we share your contact information details to all of them here, because they would like to contact you, but we don't want your emails to be flooded or calls to be so loaded. So is it okay to share your email IDs, or how would you like to take it? I can see Petri has already shared.
Yeah.
It's my personal, not personal, the business email is there, and you can share it. It's not, and quite often my advice would be make a loan application. But anyways, I'm happy to help any of the person, and it might be easier when people have see our faces and know what kind of person is in the other side. And yeah,
Okay.
my information is there, and you can share it.
Yes, I think we have to do this session like every year, because every year there is like thousands of Indians flooding to Finland, moving to Finland, and everyone wants to buy a house in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So that brings one last question, that a person with RP and a person without a resident permit, does she or he always have to pay this 15% down payment, or can it be case by case basis?
Yeah, it's for the loans, it's always case by case.
Case, okay.
It's nothing like what is the permanent resident or not, something like that. It's always case by case.
Okay.
And it's the family have different incomes, they have different working situation, they are buying different kind of apartment or house, they have different kind of amount of kids or whatever. It's always case by case. But
Okay.
there's one more thing, then it's case by case. Is it permanent resident or not permanent resident? That means something, but it's just a discussion and so on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks from my behalf to all of you, but I think Vaishali, you can deliver the formal thanks.
No, I think thank you, Kate. Also, you have been coordinating with both the parties to bring them on board. So thanks to you, thanks to Remax and OP. And on behalf of IWF, I would like to say that this has been really informative session. Personally, I wish I had this session few months before I was buying the house. Of course, I knew a lot of things, but there's always new insights that you learn. And I'm sure for our audience, this has been very, very informative and very useful. And thanks, Petri, for sharing your email. So if they want, they will reach out to you. I assume they can also reach out to you or Guru in Remax. So hopefully we are able to help each other. And thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for staying overboard with us, and thank you for spending your evening with us. That's important for us.
Okay.
And if some ideas are coming to you now, you know the nature of the Indian population here. highly educated and really high profile professions, high earners, good customers for any of you, both for OPE and Remax. So if you want to do anything specific towards Indian population that will be useful for you and also for the potential Indian clients, please let us know your ideas and we can help organize such kind of sessions as well for
Yes,
OPE and
good point.
Remax. Both of you. We can do it also some informative session annually. So that's one thing. And one more information that may be useful for you, your organizations, is that we conduct this huge event called India Day in August. Will be in Kaivapuisto. And so you are allowed to put your stalls there to reach out to people, because last time when we had it, it was like 20,000 flowing population for that event. So really great program and event. So you can sponsor us some little amounts that we ask for a sponsorship, and then you can just put your stall and reach out to as many people as you want. So that's one information for your organizations to take.
Thank you,
We
Kate,
get two
for that.
sponsors now,
Hi,
Vaishali, for India
sorry.
Day.
Can I? Hello. Can I ask one live question?
Very quickly, because it's getting very late.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's getting too late.
because it's related to the 15% down payment. So as Petri mentioned, like it's case by case. Can I get the more transparency